gun was 3 inches from her head when she whispered in Sicilian, "Nonnu, vino è avvelenato." Old man, the wine is poisoned. Sofia De Luca, 28 years old, 3 jobs, dead mother, dead father, just Nonna Lucia left dying in a hospital room that insurance refused to cover. The man she'd just saved, Vincent Romano, the oldest, most dangerous mob boss on the East Coast. Now she'd seen the faces of the men trying to kill him. They would come for her. This is the story of how she went from invisible to indispensable, from hunted to hunter, and how a single bowl of soup changed an entire criminal empire. 5:30 in the morning. A roach skittered across the wall of Sofia's studio apartment in Queens. She watched it disappear behind the water-stained wallpaper. Didn't bother getting up. The roaches were permanent residents. She was just passing through. 3 red envelopes on the kitchen table. She knew what they were, had known for a week, hadn't opened them. Sometimes ignorance bought you a few more hours of sleep. She opened them now. Sunset Hills Memory Care, $4,200. Past due 30 days. Rent, $1,800. Due in 5 days. Visa, $2,100. Minimum payment $370. Past due. Total owed $8,100. Monthly income from 3 jobs, $3,400. She was short $4,700 every month. The math didn't work. It hadn't worked in 3 years. But Sofia De Luca had learned something about impossible math. You solved it anyway. You worked the breakfast shift at the diner. You worked lunch at the catering company. You worked dinner at Le Ciel, the place where people spent more on wine than Sofia made in a week. She showered in water that never got quite hot, dressed in the dark, black pants, white shirt, the uniform of the invisible, the 7 train to Manhattan. 42 minutes of fluorescent lights and strangers who looked through her like she was made of glass. She thought about her grandmother while the train rocked beneath the East River. Nonna Lucia, 82 years old, lungs full of fluid, heart running on borrowed time. The doctors said she needed surgery. $12,000. The insurance company said no. Experimental procedure not covered. Sofia had begged them, had spent 4 hours on hold, had been transferred 17 times. The answer was always no. 3 more days, that's what the cardiologist said, maybe 4 if she's strong. After that, we can't promise anything. Sofia pressed her forehead against the subway window. The tunnel walls blurred past, dark and then darker. Nonna Lucia had raised her, fed her, taught her after the accident. After Mom and Dad's car was crushed by a drunk driver on the Cross Bronx Expressway. After the funeral where Sofia was 6 years old and didn't understand why her parents were sleeping in boxes. Nonna had worked 2 jobs, never complained, not once. Made sure Sofia had everything, school supplies, winter coats, birthday cakes. Now it was Sofia's turn, and she was failing. The train lurched into Grand Central. Sofia stood, let the crowd carry her onto the platform. Another day, another dollar, another red envelope waiting at home. She walked to Le Ciel, 16 blocks, saved $2.75 on the subway fare. The restaurant didn't open until 11. Sofia arrived at 9, used her key to the service entrance, went straight to the employee locker room in the basement, combination lock 12/24/88, her birthday. The one day a year, Nonna made her feel like the center of the universe. She changed into her serving uniform, checked her reflection in the cracked mirror, hair pulled back, no jewelry, smile ready. The smile was the hardest part, pretending everything was fine, pretending she wasn't drowning. Upstairs, the kitchen was already chaos. Chef Mark screaming in French. Line cooks moving like dancers, the smell of butter and fresh bread and something caramelizing that cost more than Sofia's rent. She grabbed a coffee, black, no sugar. Sugar was a luxury she'd given up 2 years ago. Rick Townsend walked in, the general manager, 35 years old, receding hairline, cheap suit pretending to be expensive. He looked at Sofia like she was a stain on his shoe. "Sofia," he said, "you're here early." "Always am," she said, kept her voice neutral. "Professional." Rick had propositioned her 6 months ago, after hours, in the wine cellar, his hand on her lower back, his breath smelling like scotch. Just a little overtime, sweetheart. Just you and me. She'd said no, politely, firmly. He'd never forgiven her. Now he looked at her with something between contempt and hunger, made sure she got the worst sections, the worst shifts, the customers who didn't tip. I need you to cover Emma's shift tonight, Rick said. She called in sick. Again? Sophia asked. Don't question it. Just do it. That's 16 hours, Sophia said. I've been here since 9. Then you'll be tired. Rick smiled. Not a nice smile. Unless you've changed your mind about that overtime. Sophia looked at him. Really looked. His pupils were dilated, left eyelid twitching, jaw clenched. He was high on something, or scared of something, maybe both. I'll take the shift, she said. Good girl. Rick walked away. She hated the way he said it, like she was a dog who'd learned a trick. Sophia pulled out her phone, checked her bank balance, $312. Checked the hospital payment portal. Past due, past due, past due. She opened her messages, thought about texting Nonna, decided against it. What would she say? That she was working 16 hours but still couldn't afford to save her life? Hey, you okay? Miguel, one of the line cooks, 50 years old, father of 3, sent half his paycheck back to family in El Salvador. He understood what it meant to be drowning. Yeah, Sophia said. Just tired. Miguel nodded, handed her a plate. Scrambled eggs, toast, you eat, on the house. Sophia started to protest. Miguel shook his head. You take care of others, someone's got to take care of you. She ate standing up, let the food settle the hollow feeling in her stomach. Miguel turned back to the stove. Didn't say anything else. Didn't need to. That was Sophia's gift, not talking, watching. Understanding the things people didn't say. Nonna had taught her that too. Figlia, Nonna had said when Sophia was 6 years old. The eyes never lie. Hands, yes. Mouth, yes. But eyes, never. Nonna had been a mediator in Palermo, before she came to America, before the factory job that filled her lungs with chemicals. People would come to her house, angry husbands, heartbroken wives, families torn apart by feuds older than memory. Nonna would sit them down, serve coffee, and watch, just watch. She could tell when someone was lying, when someone was scared, when someone was about to break. She read micro-expressions, the tiny movements most people missed, a twitch at the corner of the mouth, a flicker in the eyes, the way someone's shoulders rose when they held their breath. She taught Sophia the language beneath language, the truth beneath words. Now Sophia used it every shift, watching the customers, reading their faces, knowing when they wanted conversation and when they wanted silence, when they were celebrating and when they were pretending, when they'd tip well and when they'd leave nothing. She was good at it, the best server at Le Ciel. Even Rick couldn't deny that, but invisible, always invisible. The lunch shift began at 11:30, the dining room filled with the usual crowd, bankers, lawyers, trust fund kids who'd never worked a real job. They talked loud, laughed louder, never looked Sophia in the eye. She moved between tables like a ghost, water refilled before they noticed it was empty. Bread basket refreshed, dirty plates removed the moment they finished. Table 4. A senator and his mistress. Sophia could tell from the way they sat, too close. His wedding ring in his pocket, her perfume too expensive, too new. Table 7. A business deal going bad. The older man's jaw tight, the younger man's hands trembling. They ordered whiskey, drank it fast. Table 9. Empty. The corner table, the one Sophia always saved for last because it had the worst view. The table they gave to people who didn't matter. The lunch shift ended at 3. Sophia had 90 minutes before dinner service. She went to the employee locker room, sat on the bench, put her head in her hands. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Hello, Ms. DeLuca, this is Nurse Patterson from Sunset Hills. Sophia's heart stopped. Is she okay? Your grandmother is stable, but Ms. DeLuca, we need to discuss the payment situation. The facility administrator wants to speak with you about alternative arrangements. Alternative arrangements. The words that meant we're going to move her to a state facility. The kind of place where patients died alone in rooms that smelled like disinfectant and despair. I'm working on it, Sophia said. I just need a few more days, I understand. But Ms. DeLuca, the surgery, the cardiologist says we're running out of time. I know, Sophia closed her eyes. Can I speak to her? She's sleeping right now, but I'll tell her you called. Thank you. Sophia hung up, sat there in the basement, the fluorescent lights humming above her. She wanted to scream, wanted to throw her phone against the wall, wanted to cry until there was nothing left. Instead, she stood up, washed her face, put the smile back on. 7:45. The dinner service was in full swing. The dining room glowed with candlelight and wealth. Women in dresses that cost more than Sophia's car. Men in suits cut by tailors whose names she'd never heard. She moved through her section, smiling, pouring wine, recommending the special. The storm hit at 8:15. It wasn't just rain, it was biblical. Lightning that turned the windows white, thunder that rattled the crystal, wind that screamed like something dying. The customers huddled closer to their tables, grateful to be inside, grateful to be warm and dry and drinking wine that cost $800 a bottle. The door opened. Everyone looked up. Sophia, Rick, the sommelier, the hostess. An old man stood in the doorway. He was soaked, his trench coat torn and muddy, his gray hair plastered to his skull, his boots tracking water across the white marble floor. He held his fedora in shaking hands. Water dripped from the brim. The dining room went silent, forks frozen, conversation stopped, everyone staring. Everyone. Sir? The hostess squeaked. Emma, 22 years old, terrified of Rick, terrified of everything. Sir, you can't be here. The old man looked up. His eyes were dark, intelligent, sharp. They scanned the room with an intensity that didn't match his trembling body. He spoke. His voice was raspy, his English broken and heavily accented. I only wish for a table. Just soup, please. It is cold. Rick descended like a vulture, his footsteps loud and aggressive. He wanted everyone to hear, wanted them to know he was protecting them from the riffraff. Excuse me, Rick's voice boomed. This is a private establishment. We have a dress code and we certainly don't serve vagrants. The old man didn't back down. He shivered but stood his ground. I have money. He reached into his coat pocket with a shaking hand. I don't care if you have a winning lottery ticket. Rick sneered. He snapped his fingers. Marcus, get the door. Escort this gentleman out before he drips mud on the Persian rug. Marcus, the bus boy, a large kid, 20 years old. He looked apologetic but moved forward. The nearby diners watched with amusement. A couple at table 2 snickered. Can you believe the nerve? A woman in pearls whispered loudly. Ruining our appetizers with that smell. Sophia stood at the service station, heart hammering, watching. She looked at the old man's hands, really looked. They were calloused, shaking, turning blue from cold. He wasn't drunk, he was freezing. Please, the old man tried one last time, his dignity crumbling. Just 10 minutes to warm up. Out. Rick pointed to the street. Now. Marcus moved to grab his arm. The old man flinched. His eyes hardened for a split second, then he bowed his head in defeat, turned toward the door, toward the storm. Sophia thought of her grandfather, dead 2 years. He'd been a proud man, an immigrant who worked in the shipyards. If someone had treated him like this, it would have broken him. She thought of Nonna, teaching her l'ospite Dio. The guest is God. She didn't think, just moved, slammed the water pitcher down on the counter. The sound echoed through the dining room. Stop! Sophia's voice cut through the silence. Everyone turned. Rick, the old man, the diners, all staring at her. Rick turned slowly, his face going purple. Excuse me, Sophia? Sophia walked forward, past Rick, past Emma, straight to the old man. She placed her hand gently on his soaked shoulder. The fabric was freezing. "He's staying," Sophia said, her voice trembling but firm. "He's sitting at my station. Table 9 is open. It's in the back corner away from the view, so he won't bother your precious guests, Rick. But I am not letting an old man freeze to death on the sidewalk." "If you seat him," Rick hissed, leaning close, his breath coffee and malice. "You are finished here. You walk out that door with him." Sophia looked at the old man, really looked at him. He was staring at her now, his eyes the color of espresso, deep and unreadable. The trembling had stopped. He wasn't looking at her like a savior. He was analyzing her, assessing her value. "Then I'm finished," Sophia said quietly. She turned to the old man, smiled, a genuine warm smile. "Come with me. Ignore him. Let's get you some hot soup." Rick stood frozen, mouth open, too shocked to make a scene. The senator at table 4 was watching with raised eyebrows. Rick decided to play the long game. He'd let her serve the bum, then fire her publicly at the end of the shift. "On your head be it, Richie," Rick muttered. Sophia guided the old man through the gauntlet of judgmental stares, led him to table 9, the worst seat in the house. But tonight it was sanctuary. She helped him out of his heavy, soaked coat, hung it on a nearby hook. Underneath he wore a suit, frayed at the cuffs, but surprisingly well-tailored for a homeless man. There was something wrong with the picture, something that didn't fit. "Sit," Sophia said softly. "I'll bring you a warm towel first." The old man sat, his posture stiff. He watched her hurry away to the kitchen. When she was out of sight, his demeanor changed. The trembling stopped completely. He reached into his inner pocket, pulled out a small burner phone, checked the screen. No signal. He looked around the room, noting exits, noting the number of staff, noting the location of security cameras. This wasn't a man looking for soup. This was a man looking for a way out of a trap. Vincent Romano, capo di capi, boss of bosses, had been ambushed 3 blocks away, his driver dead, his bodyguards scattered. The Vanzetti family had finally made their move. He'd ditched his phone and gun to blend in, playing the vagrant to escape the hit squad sweeping the streets. He needed shelter, needed to assess who had betrayed him, needed to know if this girl, this Sophia, was simply naive or something more dangerous. Sophia returned with a steaming hot towel on a silver platter and a bowl of lobster bisque. She hadn't bothered wringing it into the system. If she was getting fired, she was stealing the soup. She placed the towel in his hands. He took it, pressed the warmth against his face, inhaled deeply. When he lowered it, he looked less like a drowned rat and more like a tired hawk. "Thank you," he said in English, voice still raspy. Sophia poured him water. "It's horrible out there. My Nona always says the rain washes away the sins of the city, but tonight I think it's just drowning us." The old man froze. He looked up at her sharply. "Nona." Sophia smiled, a sad, nostalgic smile. "Yes, my grandmother. She's from Sicily, Palermo." The old man's eyes narrowed. He leaned forward slightly. The ambient noise of the restaurant seemed to fade for him. Palermo. A tough place, strong people. Sophia nodded, checking to make sure Rick wasn't hovering nearby. "She raised me. She taught me that you never turn away someone who knocks on your door. The guest is God, she used to say." She hesitated, then lowered her voice. Switched effortlessly from English to the dialect she'd spoken in her grandmother's kitchen since childhood. It wasn't textbook Italian. It was the rough, melodious Sicilian dialect of the old country. "Mangiativi sta menesta, nonnu. Vi farà bene. U friddu è un nemico di l'ossa vecchi. Eat this soup, grandfather. It will do you good. The cold is the enemy of old bones." The effect on the old man was electric. Vincent Romano had not heard that specific dialect spoken with that specific cadence since his mother was alive 40 years ago. In his world of high-stakes racketeering, international drug trade, and boardroom murders, people spoke Italian. But it was formal, businesslike, or corrupted by American slang. This was the language of the hearth, the language of blood. He stared at her, his facade of helpless beggar cracking completely. For a moment, the ruthless killer vanished, replaced by a man struck by lightning from his past, his mother, Maria Romano, singing to him in that dialect, Palermo, 1962. Before the tuberculosis took her, before he was 8 years old and alone in a world that ate children like him. Come ti chiami, figlia mia? What is your name, my daughter? Sofia, she replied in Italian. Sofia De Luca. De Luca, he murmured, tasted the name. He took a spoonful of soup, rich and warm. A common name, but you possess an uncommon heart. I'm just doing my job, Sofia said, switching back to English as she saw Rick glaring from across the room. Look, eat quickly. My manager, he's a difficult man. I don't want him to throw you out before you finish. Vincent glanced over Sofia's shoulder at Rick. He memorized the face, the receding hairline, the cheap suit, the way he tapped his foot impatiently. Vincent filed that face away in the mental cabinet reserved for people who needed to be corrected. He is a small man with a small amount of power, Vincent said, taking another spoonful. Those are the most dangerous kind. They bite because they are afraid. He's going to fire me, Sofia admitted, her shoulders slumping. But it's okay. I hate this place anyway. Why do you stay? Money, she sighed. Always money. My Nona, she's in a care home. The bills, you know how it is. Vincent nodded slowly. I know how it is. Debt is a heavy chain. Suddenly, the front door of the restaurant burst open again. This time it wasn't a frail old man. It was 2 men in long black leather trench coats. Soaking wet, but they didn't care. They didn't wait for the hostess, walked right past the podium, eyes scanning the room with military precision. Sofia felt a chill that had nothing to do with the open door. These men looked wrong. They looked like sharks swimming into a goldfish pond. One of them had a scar running down his cheek. The other kept his right hand buried deep inside his jacket. Table for 2, Emma squeaked, terrified. They ignored her. They were looking at faces. Vincent, sitting in the back corner, stiffened. He didn't turn around, didn't look up. He stared into his soup bowl. His hand slowly moved beneath the table, gripping a steak knife he'd palmed from the place setting. Sofia, Vincent whispered. His voice was no longer the voice of a grandfather. It was the voice of steel. Listen to me carefully. Do not look at them. Do not react. What? Sofia frowned, confused. Who? The men who just entered. They are looking for me. Sofia's heart stopped. The police? No, Vincent said, a dark smirk playing on his lips. Much worse. Rick, seeing the 2 men ignoring the hostess, marched up to them, chest puffed. Excuse me, gentlemen. You cannot just walk in here. The man with the scar turned to Rick. He didn't yell, simply grabbed Rick by the throat with one hand, shoved him against the wall, hard enough to knock a painting loose. We are looking for an old man, the scarred man said, voice a low growl. Gray hair, trench coat, looks like a beggar. Have you seen him? The restaurant went deathly silent. The clinking of silverware stopped. The senator at table 4 dropped his fork. Rick, gasping for air, feet dangling inches off the floor, couldn't speak, paralyzed with fear. Sofia stood frozen at the back booth. She looked down at Vincent. He was gripping the steak knife so hard his knuckles were white. He looked up at her. If you tell them I am here, Vincent whispered, they will give you $10,000, maybe more. They will kill me and you will be rich. It was a test, the ultimate test. The scarred man dropped Rick, who collapsed coughing. The killer shouted to the room. I said, has anyone seen an old man come in here? His partner pulled a gun, a suppressed pistol. The diners screamed, ducked under tables. Anyone who speaks up gets to live, the gunman shouted. Sofia looked at the terrified diners, looked at Rick wheezing on the floor. Rick's eyes darted toward the back corner. He opened his mouth. He was going to rat them out, point straight at table 9. Sofia made a split-second decision, grabbed the pitcher of ice water from the table, stepped out from the booth, blocking the view of Vincent. Hey! Sofia shouted, voice echoing through the terrified hall. The 2 gunmen turned toward her. The gun pointed straight at her chest. He was here, Sophia lied, pointing toward the kitchen swing doors on the opposite side of the room. He ran through the kitchen, out the back alley. He stole some bread and ran. The gunman stared at her. Are you sure? I saw him, Sophia screamed, adding a touch of hysterical panic to her voice. He pushed me. He went that way. Please don't shoot. Sophia accidentally kicked Rick in the ribs as she stumbled back. Silencing him with a groan, the gunman hesitated. 3 seconds, then nodded to his partner. They sprinted toward the kitchen. Bursting through the swing doors out into the alley, chasing a ghost, Sophia stood there shaking. The entire restaurant was hiding under tables. She turned back to the booth. Vincent Romano was standing now. He wasn't hunched. He stood tall, placed the steak knife back on the table. He looked at Sophia with an expression that could only be described as awe. You lied for me, he said softly. You risked a bullet for a stranger. You're not a stranger, Sophia whispered, her adrenaline crashing, tears forming. You're a guest, and you're Italian. Vincent reached into his pocket, pulled out a small, heavy gold ring, black onyx stone. He grabbed Sophia's hand, pressed it into her palm. Keep this, he commanded. Hide it. Do not show it to anyone yet. What is it? Insurance, Vincent said. I must go. Those men will realize the alley is empty in 2 minutes. When they come back, I will be gone. But they will come for you. What? Sophia gasped. Do not go home tonight, Vincent said, his intensity terrifying. Go to the St. Regis Hotel, ask for Mr. Ashford, show him the ring, stay in the room, do not leave until I come for you. Who are you? Vincent buttoned his tattered coat, but he looked like a king in rags. I am the man who owes you a life, and Vincent Romano always pays his debts. He moved toward the side fire exit, moving with the speed of a man half his age. Before he pushed the bar to leave, he looked back at Rick, who was trying to stand. And you, Vincent said to Rick, pointing a finger that looked like a loaded weapon. Pray to your God, because you just insulted the wrong family. Vincent vanished into the rainy night. Sophia stood alone in the middle of the chaos, the gold ring heavy in her hand, sirens wailing in the distance. Rick got up, face red with rage, looking at Sophia, blood from his split lip. You, he snarled, wiping blood. You little lying witch, you're fired, and I'm telling the police you were an accomplice. Sophia looked at the ring, looked at the door where the gunman had gone, realized her life as a waitress was over. The real story was just beginning. She didn't wait for Rick to finish his threat. The look in his eyes wasn't just anger. It was frantic, sweaty desperation. Rick wasn't calling the police. She knew that look. The look of a man who owed money to bad people, who saw a way to clear his debt. Sophia sprinted to the employee lockers, hands shaking so violently she could barely turn the combination dial. 122488. The locker popped open. She grabbed her purse, her cheap wool coat, shoved the gold ring deep into her jeans pocket. It felt heavy, hot against her thigh like a burning coal. As she burst out of the locker room, she heard Rick's voice echoing from the manager's office. Door ajar, yes. Yes, Marco, listen to me. The girl, the waitress, Sophia DeLuca, she lied. She sent your men the wrong way. Moretti was here. He was right here sitting in booth 9. Sophia froze for a split second. Marco Vanzetti. Even a waitress who kept her head down knew that name. The Vanzettis were the new blood in New York. Flashy, violent, without honor. They ran the docks in Red Hook and high-stakes poker games in Tribeca. If Rick was calling Marco Vanzetti, Sophia wasn't just fired. She was marked for death. She didn't go out the front door. The hitman, the scarred man, and his silent partner would be circling back from the alley any second. She ran toward the service elevator, used for garbage disposal, opened into the basement loading dock. She smashed the button. Come on! Come on! The elevator groaned, arrived. She threw herself inside just as the kitchen door swung open. She saw the scarred man storming back through, gun now openly displayed. He looked at Rick, pointing frantically toward the locker room. The doors closed. Sophia descended into darkness. When she hit the bottom, she ran past the dumpsters, slipping on a patch of grease, scrambling up, through the concrete ramp to 52nd Street. The rain was still coming down in sheets. She was instantly soaked, but the cold helped sharpen her senses. She needed a taxi. But getting a cab in Manhattan during rain at dinner rush was harder than winning the lottery. She saw a yellow cab idling at a red light, ran into the middle of the street, waving her arms, ignoring the honking of a delivery truck that nearly clipped her. She ripped the back door open. "Dove inside, St. Regis Hotel," she gasped, locking the door. "Go, please, just go." The driver, a Sikh man with a kind face, looked at her in the rearview mirror. "Miss, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Just drive," Sophia begged, looking out the back window. Through the rain-streaked glass, she saw the front doors of Le Ciel burst open. The two hitmen ran onto the sidewalk, scanning the street. Rick was with them, pointing down the block. The traffic light turned green. The taxi lurched forward, merging into the sea of red taillights on 5th Avenue. Sophia slid down in the seat, clutching her chest. She was alive. But for how long? She pulled the ring out of her pocket. Under the passing streetlights, she examined it closely for the first time. Heavy gold, old and scratched. The black onyx stone was engraved with a symbol, a double-headed eagle clutching a bundle of arrows. Inside the band, an inscription in Latin. Fidelitas ante sanguinem, fidelity before blood. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Don't go to your apartment. They are already there. Trust the ring." Sophia dropped the phone on the seat. How did they get her number? How did they know where she lived? "Driver," she said, voice trembling. "Can we go faster? Traffic is bad, miss. The president is in town or something. Gridlock everywhere." Sophia looked out the window. They were passing Rockefeller Center. The city looked beautiful and terrifying. Glittering towers, 10 million people, heat. And somewhere in that ocean, men with guns were hunting her. She realized she'd just walked out of her life. Her apron was still tied around her waist under her coat. She had $60 in her bank account, and she was holding the signet ring of the most powerful crime lord on the East Coast. They pulled up to the St. Regis on East 55th Street. It was a palace of limestone and gold light, a stark contrast to the grime of the street she'd just fled. Doormen in uniforms that cost more than her car rushed to open the taxi door. Sophia fumbled for cash, threw a 20 at the driver. "Keep the change." She stepped out. Looked like a drowned rat, her sneakers muddy, hair a disaster. She smelled of fear and rain. The doorman, tall with immaculate posture, stepped in front of her, blocking the entrance. "Can I help you, miss?" His tone polite but firm. The "you don't belong here" tone. "Deliveries are around the back." Sophia swallowed hard, remembered Vincent's words. "Ask for Mr. Ashford. Show him the ring." "I need to see Mr. Ashford," Sophia said, trying to keep her voice steady. The doorman's expression didn't change. "We have no guest by that name, and no staff member by that name. Now, if you please move along, you are blocking the guests. Please," Sophia insisted. "Vincent sent me." The name hung in the air. The doorman's eyes darted left and right. He leaned in slightly. "Who?" Sophia held up her hand, turned the ring so the onyx stone faced out. The light from the hotel lobby caught the gold crest. The doorman's face went pale. The arrogance vanished instantly, replaced by a look of terrified respect. He straightened, snapped his heels together, bowed his head. "My apologies, signorina," he whispered. He tapped his earpiece. "Code Nero in the lobby. Escort required immediately for VIP Omega." He stepped aside, holding the door wide. "Right this way. Do not stop at the reception desk. Go straight to the elevators. Mr. Ashford is already descending." Sophia walked into the lobby. The chandeliers were blinding. The marble floors reflected her muddy sneakers. People stared, women in evening gowns, men in tuxedos, but this time, no one stopped her. Two large men in suits appeared from the shadows of the lobby bar, flanked her, walking perfectly in step. They weren't hotel security, they were soldiers. The elevator doors pinged open before she even pressed the button. A man stood inside, 50s, silver hair slicked back, wearing a tuxedo. He looked like a British spy. "Miss DeLuca," the man said, extending a hand. "I am Henry Ashford. I believe you have something that belongs to my employer." Sophia stepped into the elevator. The doors closed, shutting out the world. "Is he safe?" Sophia asked. Henry smiled, but it was a cold smile. "Mr. Romano is unkillable, my dear. But tonight, you are the one we are worried about. Welcome to the sanctuary." The elevator didn't stop at the penthouse floor. It went higher, to a floor not listed on the control panel. Henry used a key card, black metal, activated the override. "You must be hungry," Henry said pleasantly, as if they weren't fleeing a murder scene. "I have taken the liberty of ordering a ribeye, medium rare, and a change of clothes. Your size, I believe, is a 4. Sophia stared at him. "How do you know my dress size?" "We are thorough," Henry said. "Mr. Romano values precision." The doors opened into a sprawling apartment that covered the entire roof of the building. Modern, sleek, filled with art that belonged in museums. But Sophia noticed the details that didn't belong in a hotel. The windows were thick, bulletproof glass, monitors on the wall showing camera feeds of every street corner for 3 blocks. Men with earpieces and submachine guns slung under jackets pacing the hallway. This wasn't a hotel room. This was a war room. Henry led her to a plush white sofa. "Please sit. The clothes are in the bedroom to your left. Shower, change. Burn the uniform. We cannot have you wearing the target." Sophia felt a wave of exhaustion. She went into the bathroom, a room made of marble and gold, stripped off her wet clothes, stood under scalding water for 20 minutes, trying to wash away the feeling of Rick's eyes, the scarred man's gun, the weight of impossible choices. When she came out wrapped in a plush robe, she found a set of clothes laid out on the bed. Black cashmere sweater, dark jeans, leather boots, they fit perfectly. She returned to the living room. The steak was waiting, along with a glass of red wine. She ate voraciously, hadn't realized how hungry fear made you. Henry stood by the window, looking out at the city. "Where is he?" Sophia asked. "He is concluding some business," Henry said. "He had to send a message." "What kind of message?" Henry picked up a remote, turned on the large television on the wall, flipped to a local news channel. Breaking news. The banner read, "Explosion at Midtown Restaurant." Sophia gasped, dropped her fork. On screen, flames shot out of the windows of Le Ciel. Fire trucks surrounded the building, the facade destroyed. "No one was inside," Henry said calmly, "except perhaps for the rats." "Rick," Sophia whispered. "Mr. Townsend was found in the alleyway before the fire started," Henry said, checking his watch. "Police are calling it a robbery gone wrong. Very tragic. He seems to have slipped and fallen on several bullets." Sophia felt sick, pushed the plate away. "You killed him." "We didn't do anything, Miss DeLuca," Henry said, turning to her with a serious expression. "The Vanzetti brothers hold the lease on that building. They burned it to destroy evidence. Rick was their liability. They cleaned up their own mess. That is the nature of working for men like Marco Vanzetti. They consume their own." "And Vincent?" Sophia asked. "Is he like them?" The front door of the penthouse opened. Vincent Romano walked in. He looked nothing like the beggar from the restaurant, clean-shaven, wearing a charcoal 3-piece Brioni suit that cost more than Sophia's childhood home. He moved with the power of a locomotive, but his eyes were the same, dark, intelligent, currently filled with simmering rage. Behind him walked 3 men, capos. Sophia recognized one from newspapers, Salvatore Grimaldi, Sal the Hammer, a man who supposedly ran construction unions in Jersey. Vincent stopped when he saw Sophia. His face softened instantly. Walked over to her, ignoring his lieutenants. "Sophia," he said, taking her hands. "You are safe. Grazie a Dio." "You burned my workplace," Sophia said, voice shaking. "I did no such thing," Vincent said, sitting opposite her. Marco Vanzetti burned it. He thought I was still inside, hiding in the cellar. He is a sloppy man who uses fire when he should use a scalpel. They know who I am, Sophia said. Rick told them. I heard him. I know, Vincent nodded grimly. Which is why you cannot go back to Queens. Not tonight. Not for a while. My grandmother, Sophia shot up. Nonna, they'll go after her to get to me. Vincent held up a hand. Sit, Sophia, please. He snapped his fingers. Henry handed him a tablet. Vincent passed it to Sophia. On the screen was a live video feed. It showed a private hospital room. In the bed, sleeping peacefully, was Nonna Lucia. Sitting in a chair next to the door was a massive man reading a comic book. Who is that? Sophia asked. That is Marco. He is my nephew. Very large, very bored. But he is the best bodyguard in the city. Your grandmother was moved to Mount Sinai VIP wing an hour ago. The doctors are reviewing her medication. Surgery scheduled for 7 a.m. tomorrow. All expenses paid. Sophia stared at him. Tears welled in her eyes. Why? Why are you doing this? I just gave you soup. Vincent leaned forward. The room went silent. The capos watched their boss carefully. You didn't just give me soup, Sophia. You gave me my life. The men who came to that restaurant, the Vanzetti brothers. They breached my security. My driver was paid off. My own consigliere, a man I trusted for 30 years, gave them my route. Vincent's face darkened. I was alone, unarmed, freezing. If you had pointed me out, I would be dead. The balance of power in New York would have shifted to men who sell fentanyl to children and traffic women in shipping containers. You stopped that. He stood, poured himself a drink. Tonight, the 5 families are in chaos. Everyone thinks I am dead or running. They think the Vanzetti brothers have won. Vincent took a sip of whiskey, turned to the window, looking at the burning reflection of the city. Tomorrow morning I am going to remind them why they call me the Ghost, and I need your help to do it. The morning sun hit the penthouse windows with blinding brightness. Sophia hadn't slept. She'd sat up all night listening to Vincent and his capos plot a war. She learned the truth about the underworld that night. She learned that the Vanzetti brothers, Dominic and his younger brother Luca, were backed by the Russian mob. They were trying to take over the sanitation contracts and the shipping ports. Vincent Romano was the old guard. Violent, yes, but he had rules. No drugs in school zones, no hurting civilians. The Vanzettis had no rules. They sold poison to teenagers, ran girls as young as 14 through massage parlors in Flushing, laundered money through charities that promised to feed the hungry. Vincent stood by the window now, dawn light casting long shadows across his face. He looked older in the morning. Tired, the weight of 50 years in this life etched into the lines around his eyes. They are holding a victory dinner tonight, Vincent said. At Il Palazzo, their headquarters. They think I am ash in the ruins of that French restaurant. So we hit them there? Sal the Hammer asked, cracking his knuckles. I can get 50 guys with automatics through the front door. No, Vincent said sharply. That is 1920s thinking, Sal. Il Palazzo is a fortress, metal detectors, armed guards, police on the payroll outside. If we attack head-on, it's a bloodbath and we lose. He turned to Sophia. She was drinking coffee, feeling out of place in a room full of predators. We need to walk in, Vincent said. We need someone they don't recognize, someone who can get close to Dominic Vanzetti. Sophia put her cup down. Me? No, Vincent said immediately. It is too dangerous. They know my face, Sophia said. Rick told them. But they don't know me. They think I'm just a waitress who got scared and lied. She stood. The fear from the night before was fading, replaced by something colder, a strange, sharp anger. They had burned her restaurant, threatened her Nonna, killed Rick. Even if she'd hated him, he didn't deserve to die like that. You said Dominic is celebrating tonight. Does he like women? Sal snorted. Does a bear sit in the woods? Dominic thinks he's Casanova, always looking for new talent for his clubs. Then let me go in, Sophia said. Absolutely not, Vincent slammed his hand on the table. You are a civilian. I promise to protect you. You can't protect me forever, Sophia argued, surprised by her own boldness. If you don't stop them tonight, they will keep coming. They will find Nona. They will find me. I want my life back, Vincent, and the only way to get it back is to help you finish this. Vincent looked at her. He saw the fire in her eyes. It was Sicilian blood, the stubbornness, the refusal to bow. What is your plan? Vincent asked quietly. They're hiring staff for the party, right? Big celebration. Last minute? Yes, Henry interjected. They called the agency this morning, requesting 10 extra servers. I'm a waitress, Sophia said. I'm the best waitress you've ever seen. I can carry a tray of champagne through a hurricane and not spill a drop. Get me in as a server. I get close to Dominic. I drop the signal. You come in. The signal? Vincent raised an eyebrow. What do you need to get inside? We need the back door disabled, Sal said. Magnetic lock. Controlled from the manager's office inside. I can do that, Sophia said. Waitresses are invisible. We go everywhere. Kitchens, offices, storage rooms. No one looks at the help. Vincent stared at her for a long time. He twisted the replacement ring on his finger, the one matching what he'd given her. If they recognize you, he said slowly. If Anton, the scarred man, sees your face. They saw a girl in a sloppy apron with wet hair in a dark restaurant for 10 seconds, Sophia said. Make me look different, dress me up. They won't see Sophia, the waitress. They'll see whatever you want them to see. Vincent nodded slowly. He turned to Henry. Call the stylist, get the makeup team, and get me a wire that fits in an earring. He looked back at Sophia. Tonight we dine at Il Palazzo, and we serve them a dish they will not forget. The transformation took 3 hours. The stylist, a woman named Margot who usually worked for Vogue but owed Vincent a favor, cut Sophia's hair into a sharp chic bob, dyed it deep raven black. They applied makeup that highlighted her cheekbones, darkened her eyes with smoky shadow, made her lips blood red. She put on the uniform provided by the catering agency, short black skirt, crisp white shirt. But Henry made adjustments. A small microphone sewn into the collar, invisible to the naked eye. A tiny earpiece placed deep in her ear canal, so small it looked like a beauty mark. When Sophia looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. She looked dangerous. She looked like a femme fatale from a noir film. Perfect, Vincent said, standing behind her. He handed her a small vial. This is not poison. It is a powerful sedative, liquid chloral hydrate. If Dominic gets too close, you offer him a drink. You slip this in. He'll be unconscious in 90 seconds. And the back door? There is a red button under the desk in the main office. Second floor, last door on the left. Press it and the magnetic locks on the loading bay disengage. My men will be waiting in a delivery truck outside. Vincent placed his hands on her shoulders. Sophia, if you feel unsafe, if you feel even a second of hesitation, you say the word storm into the mic. We will crash the front gate. It will be messy, but I will not let you die. I'm ready, Sophia said. Remember, you are not a waitress tonight. You are an actress playing the role of a waitress, and you are the most important person in the room. They drove in silence, Sophia in the back of a catering van with 9 other servers. All nervous, all checking their phones, all oblivious to the fact that one of them was about to start a war. Il Palazzo was gaudy, a mansion in Long Island that the Vanzettis had bought and decorated with too much gold and too much velvet. The party was in full swing when they arrived. 8 p.m., 80 guests, mobsters, politicians, celebrities who'd sold their souls for the right connections. Sophia walked in with the catering team, kept her head down, carrying a tray of hors d'oeuvres, champagne, caviar on toast points. She scanned the room. She saw him, Dominic Vanzetti, sitting at the head table, laughing loudly. He was wearing a white suit, drinking from a crystal goblet. He looked like a Roman emperor, 42 years old, handsome in a brutal way. Dark hair slicked back, gold rings on every finger. Sitting next to him was Anton, the scarred man, his bodyguard, the one who had looked her in the eye at Le Ciel. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. Anton was the danger. If anyone would recognize her, it was him. Steady. Vincent's voice came through her earpiece. He was in a van a mile away, listening. Do not make eye contact with the bodyguard. Focus on Dominic. Sophia took a deep breath, adjusted her tray, walked straight toward the lion's den. More champagne, sir? She asked, stepping up to the head table. Dominic stopped laughing, looked at Sophia. His eyes traveled over her body, ignoring her face. Well, hello, Dominic purred. I haven't seen you before. What's your name, sweetheart? Bella, Sophia lied smoothly, giving him a coy smile. I'm new. Bella, Dominic grinned. Beautiful. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. You stay close to this table, Bella. I get thirsty. The scarred man shifted in his seat. Anton. He looked at Sophia. He narrowed his eyes, tilted his head, studying her profile. Sophia felt his gaze burning a hole in her skin. She didn't look at him. Poured champagne into Dominic's glass, her hand steady, years of practice. You look familiar, Anton rumbled. Sophia froze for a fraction of a second, then turned to him, smiled playfully. I have a common face. Maybe you've seen me in your dreams. The table erupted in laughter. Dominic slapped Anton on the back. She got you there, Tony. Stop scaring the girls. Anton didn't laugh, kept staring, but Dominic waved him off. I need a refill on the vodka. Go get it from my office. Private stash, top shelf. Sophia kept her expression neutral, but inside her mind raced. This was it, the office. I'll get that from the bar, sir, Sophia said. No, Dominic said, grabbing her wrist, his grip wet and clammy. Get the good stuff from my office, down the hall. Last door on the left, bottle of Stolichnaya Elite. Don't get lost. Where is the office, sir? Sophia asked, playing innocent. Down the hall. Last door on the left, Dominic repeated, his eyes lingering on her chest. And hurry back, I'm already missing you. Sophia pulled her wrist away gently, walked toward the hallway. She felt Anton's eyes on her back every step. I'm moving to the office, she whispered into her collar. Copy that, Vincent said. We are moving into position. 2 minutes. Sophia reached the hallway. It was empty, dimmed lights, gold wallpaper, thick carpet. She walked quickly to the last door, pushed it open. The office was lavish. Leather chairs, mahogany desk, security monitors on the wall showing camera feeds of the entire property. She could see Vincent's team outside, 20 men waiting by the loading bay in a fake delivery truck. She crouched down, looked under the desk, found the red button mounted beneath the lip. Her hand hovered over it. She was about to cross a line. Once she pressed this, there was no going back. Men would die tonight. Maybe she would too. She thought of Nonna, sleeping peacefully, surgery in the morning. She thought of Rick, dead in an alley. She thought of all the girls Dominic trafficked, all the kids who'd overdosed on his fentanyl. She pressed the button. Clang. Somewhere deep in the building, heavy magnetic locks disengaged. Door is open, Sophia whispered into her mic. I'm in the office. Anton is suspicious. Get down, Sophia, Vincent's voice roared. Cover your ears. Sophia dove under the desk, covered her head. Boom. The window of the office shattered inward as a flashbang grenade was tossed from the garden balcony. The room filled with blinding white light, a deafening ringing sound. Sophia curled into a ball, eyes squeezed shut, hands over her ears. She heard the heavy thud of boots hitting the floor, felt a hand on her shoulder. She flinched. You okay, cuz? A voice shouted. Sophia looked up. Marco, Vincent's nephew, 6'5", 280 pounds, holding an AR-15. He pulled off his balaclava, grinned. You did good, little cousin. Now stay here. Uncle wants a word with the host. Outside in the ballroom, the party had turned into a nightmare. Vincent's team poured in from 3 directions. Loading bay, front entrance, windows. 30 men armed and organized. The guests screamed, ran, dove under tables. Dominic's soldiers, 40 of them, grabbed weapons, started firing back, but they were confused, disorganized. They'd been drinking, celebrating. They weren't ready for war. Vincent's men were sober, focused, moving like a surgical team. Dominic flipped his table. used it as a shield, pulled a gold-plated Desert Eagle, screamed, "Kill them all." But his men were falling, not dead. Vincent had given orders, wound, don't kill unless necessary. He needed information, needed to know who else had betrayed him. The main doors of the ballroom swung open. Vincent Romano walked in. He held no weapon, just walked slowly, calmly, through the center of the chaos, bullets flying, men screaming. He moved like he was taking a Sunday stroll. The firefight seemed to pause, both sides stunned. Dominic's eyes bulged. He looked like he was seeing a demon. "You're dead," he whispered, voice cracking. "I killed you. You killed a coat, Dominic," Vincent said, his voice carrying through the hall. Cold, precise. "You burned an empty building. You cannot kill a ghost. I am the shadow that never dies." Vincent stopped 10 feet from Dominic, looked at the trembling mob boss with pure disgust. "You broke the rules," Vincent said. "You brought noise to the city. You threatened civilians. You tried to kill a woman whose only crime was offering me champagne." "She's a rat!" Dominic screamed, raising his gun. Before Dominic could aim, a single shot rang out. Crack. Sharp. Precise. Dominic howled, dropped the gun, clutched his right hand. It was ruined, blood pouring between his fingers. Sophia stood at the entrance of the hallway, flanked by Marco. She wasn't holding a gun, she was pointing. Beside her, Henry lowered his sniper rifle, a VSS Vintorez, suppressed, accurate. "She is not a rat," Vincent said, walking up to the whimpering Dominic. "She is the only person in this room with honor." Vincent signaled to Sal. "Take him. The police will find him tied to a lamppost outside the precinct with a full confession. Human trafficking, fentanyl distribution, arson, murder. He will spend the rest of his life in a cage." Dominic fell to his knees, face wet with tears and snot. "Please, my father. You killed my father. I had to." Vincent looked down at him. No emotion. "Your father sold poison to children. I executed a criminal. You had a choice, Dominic. You could have honored his memory by being better. Instead, you became worse. You dishonor him." Dominic lunged for the gun, a desperate last move. Marco stepped forward, kicked it away. Sal and 2 others grabbed Dominic, zip-tied his wrists, dragged him toward the exit. Vincent turned to the room. The remaining Vanzetti soldiers had dropped their weapons. "Hands up, surrendering. This war is over," Vincent announced. "Anyone loyal to the Vanzetti family has 24 hours to leave New York. After that, you are enemy combatants." He looked at Sophia across the room. Their eyes met. She was shaking, the adrenaline finally crashing. Blood on her clothes, not hers, splatter from the chaos. Vincent walked to her, took off his suit jacket, draped it over her shoulders. "Come," he said gently. "Let's go home." Outside, Sophia sat on the stone steps of Il Palazzo. The night air was cool. She could hear sirens in the distance. Police, ambulances. Someone had called them. Probably a neighbor, probably 20 neighbors. Marco sat beside her, offered her a bottle of water. "First time is always the hardest," he said. "Gets easier." "I don't want it to get easier," Sophia said, her voice hollow. Marco nodded. "Good. That means you're not a monster. Monsters don't feel." Vincent walked out. He looked tired, older, the weight of the night settling on him. He sat on Sophia's other side, didn't speak for a long moment, just sat there. 3 people on the steps, looking at the stars barely visible through the light pollution. "You saved my life," Vincent said finally. "Again." "I helped you hurt people," Sophia whispered. "You helped me stop a war," Vincent corrected. "Dominic would have killed hundreds, sold children, destroyed families." "You chose the lesser evil. Is there such a thing?" Sophia asked. "Lesser evil?" Vincent didn't answer right away. Then, "I don't know. But I know this. You had a choice tonight. You could have run, hidden, saved yourself. You chose to stand. That takes courage most men don't have." "What happens now?" Sophia asked. "Do I just go back, pretend this didn't happen?" "You have 3 choices," Vincent said. "Witness protection, new name, new city. I'll fund it. You'll never see this world again, or I protect you here. New apartment, security, clean life. but always watching your back or you stay. Work with me, not as muscle, as counsel. You see things I miss. Henry is retiring. I need someone I trust. Sophia looked at him, shocked. Henry's retiring? He killed a man tonight, Vincent said. Carlo Vanzetti, Dominic's father. 20 years ago, I ordered Carlo's execution for selling drugs to kids, but I didn't know Henry had a personal stake. Carlo killed Henry's brother, my former consigliere. Henry has been waiting 8 years for the right moment. Tonight was it. Now he's free, and I'm offering you his position. Sophia couldn't process it. I need time. To think. To see Nonna. To understand what I've become. Vincent nodded. Take all the time you need. The offer stands. They sat in silence, police lights flashing in the distance. Getting closer. We should go, Marco said, before the cops arrive. Boss doesn't need that headache. Vincent stood, offered Sophia his hand. She took it, let him pull her up. They walked to the waiting car. Sophia looked back at Il Palazzo one last time. The mansion dark now. Men inside cleaning, erasing evidence. This was how it worked. Wars fought in the shadows, blood washed away before sunrise. The world waking up never knowing how close it came to chaos. Sophia climbed into the back seat, Vincent beside her, Marco driving. Henry in the passenger seat. They pulled away, taillights disappearing into the night. 6 months later, the spring sun warmed the streets of Manhattan. Sophia De Luca stood outside a building on 52nd Street, the old location of Le Ciel. The charred remains were gone. In their place stood something warmer, more inviting. The facade was rustic stone, flower boxes overflowing with basil and rosemary. The sign above the door was hand-painted in gold leaf. Il Rifugio, the shelter. Sophia wore a black suit, tailored, expensive. Her hair had grown out some, still the chic bob, still black, but softer now. She looked confident, powerful, nothing like the terrified waitress from 6 months ago. The months had been a whirlwind. Sophia took a week to decide. Visited Nonna every day. The surgery was successful. Nonna was recovering, getting stronger. Nonna had looked at Sophia with those sharp eyes, the ones that saw everything. I know what you did, Figlia. I know the choice you made. Sophia had started crying. I'm sorry, Nonna. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to save you. Nonna took her hand, squeezed. Tu si comportata cu onuri. You acted with honor. Sometimes we must walk through darkness to protect the light. Just remember who you are. Don't let the darkness consume you. Sophia chose option 3. She stayed, worked with Vincent, not in the criminal operations. She was clear about that. She wouldn't traffic drugs, wouldn't hurt innocents, wouldn't be a gangster. But she would be a consultant, the reader. She sat in meetings, watched faces, read the micro-expressions, caught the liars, saved Vincent from bad deals, from traitors, from men who smiled while holding knives behind their backs. Vincent kept his word. He reformed 50% of the business, pulled out of drugs completely, focused on legitimate enterprises, real estate, security consulting, private lending to businesses the banks ignored. The other 50%, the gray areas, were being phased out slowly, carefully. You couldn't flip an empire overnight. But Vincent was trying. For the first time in his life, he was trying to build something that wouldn't burn. Dominic Vanzetti got 3 life sentences: human trafficking, drug distribution, murder. He'd spend the rest of his days in a supermax prison. Isolated, forgotten. Anton died in prison, killed by Russian inmates. Revenge for bungling the hit on Vincent. Loose ends tied. Rick Townsend was buried in a cemetery in Jersey. 17 people at his funeral. Sophia didn't go. She'd forgiven him, but she wouldn't pretend to mourn. Now she stood in front of her restaurant. Her restaurant. Vincent had given her the building, given her $500,000 to renovate, told her to build something beautiful. Il Rifugio wasn't fine dining. It was family-style Italian. Soup, pasta, bread, wine. The food Nonna used to make, the food that tasted like home. Sophia hired Emma as the general manager. The girl who'd been too scared to speak that night. She'd bloomed in 6 months, confident now, capable. Miguel was the head chef, The line cook from Le Ciel who'd always shared his food. He brought his family, his wife, his kids. They all worked together. The restaurant had a special policy, free meals every Sunday for seniors. In honor of Nonna, it became something else too. Neutral ground, a place where the 5 families could meet safely. No weapons, no violence, just food and conversation. The Switzerland of the underworld. Sophia opened the door, 6 p.m. First customers arriving, an elderly couple, late 70s, holding hands. Benvenuti, Sophia said. Welcome to Il Rifugio. She led them to table 9, the corner table, the one that used to be the worst seat. Now it was the best. Candlelight, fresh flowers, a view of the small garden out back. On the wall, a photograph. Nonna Lucia, young, beautiful, standing in Palermo in 1965. Beneath it, a brass plaque. L'ospite è Dio. The guest is God. Sophia brought them bread, olive oil, told them about the specials. The elderly woman smiled. This reminds me of my mother's kitchen. That's the highest compliment, Sophia said. My nonna taught me. Food is love made visible. A black Bentley pulled up outside. Sophia saw it through the window, smiled. Vincent Romano stepped out. He wasn't wearing a suit, casual today, cashmere sweater, khaki pants, a flat cap. He looked like a grandfather. Harmless. Except for the eyes. Always those eyes. Henry Ashford climbed out of the passenger side. Retired now, mostly. Still advised Vincent occasionally, but he'd moved upstate. Bought a house near a lake. Spent his days fishing, reading, finally at peace. They walked in. Vincent looked around, took in the warm lighting, the laughter, the smell of garlic and tomatoes. The place looks good, Vincent said. Better than Le Ciel. Different, Sophia corrected. Not better. More honest. Honesty is underrated, Vincent agreed. Nonna comes here every Sunday, Sophia said. Sits at table 9. Criticizes my pasta. She laughed. Keeps me humble. As she should, Vincent smiled. A real smile. The kind that reached his eyes. Vincent reached into his coat, pulled out an envelope. Thick. Heavy. What's this? Sophia asked. The deed, the building, the land, the business, all in your name, free and clear, no strings, no debts. Vincent, I can't. You can, he said firmly, and you will. This isn't charity, it's payment for saving my life, twice, for giving me a reason to be better. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how to thank you. You already did, Vincent said gently. You reminded me what honor looks like. I am old, Sophia. The world is changing. People like you will make it better, not people like me. You're not so bad, Sophia said, smiling through tears. I'm a dinosaur, Vincent said, but maybe dinosaurs can learn new tricks. He gestured to table 9. May I? Always, Sophia said. It's reserved for you, forever. Vincent sat, Henry beside him. Sophia brought them menus, but Vincent waved it away. Lobster bisque, he said, like the first time. Sophia nodded, went to the kitchen, ladled the soup herself, brought it to the table, set it down gently. Per voi, nonnu, she said in Sicilian. For you, grandfather, as the first time. Vincent tasted it, closed his eyes. For a moment he was somewhere else, somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere his mother was still alive and singing to him in that ancient dialect. He opened his eyes. You've come far, Sophia De Luca. We both have, she said. She sat across from him. The restaurant was filling now. People talking, laughing, living. Outside, the city hummed, 10 million stories, 10 million struggles, and in this small corner for a few hours there was peace. Vincent finished his soup, stood slowly, buttoned his coat. Henry rose with him. Will I see you again? Sophia asked. Perhaps, Vincent said, but if you don't, remember this. You saved more than my life that night. You saved my soul. I was becoming what I hated, a man without honor. You showed me the way back. You gave me a life worth living, Sophia said, voice catching. No, Vincent corrected. You took it. There's a difference. You chose courage when fear was easier. Never forget that. He walked to the door, paused, turned back. One more thing. Table 9 is always reserved for ghosts who need shelter. Always, Sophia promised. Vincent stepped into the spring evening. The Bentley pulled away, disappeared into the river of taillights and humanity. Sophia stood in the doorway of Il Rifugio, her restaurant, her sanctuary, her second chance. She'd come so far from that rainy night, from the girl who was invisible, who served people who didn't see her. Now she was seen. Now she mattered. Not because of Vincent, but because she'd chosen to stand when running was easier. She'd chosen kindness when cruelty was expected. She'd chosen honor when survival meant betrayal. A week later, it was raining again. Saturday night. The dining room was full. Sophia moved between tables, still a waitress at heart, still watching, still reading the micro-expressions, but different now. Free. The door opened. A young woman walked in, mid-20s, soaked, eyes frightened. She held something in her trembling hand, a ring, gold, but different from Vincent's. This one had a different crest, the double-headed eagle of the Bratva, the Russian mob. "Excuse me," the woman said, accent thick. "Someone told me to find Sofia De Luca here. They said she helps people who have nowhere else to go." Sophia looked at the ring, recognized what it meant, understood immediately. This woman was running, from the Russians, from something dark, and someone in the underworld had sent her here, to the shelter, to safety. Sophia took a deep breath, smiled, the warm smile that had started everything. "Come in, let's get you warm. Table 9 is open." She led the woman to the corner, brought her a towel, hot soup, sat across from her, ready to listen, ready to help, because that's what Il Rifugio was now. Not just a restaurant, a sanctuary, a place where ghosts could rest, where the hunted could hide, where broken people could find someone who saw them. Really saw them. And Sofia De Luca, once invisible, was now the light in the darkness. The shelter in the storm, the woman who proved that one act of kindness could change the world. It just started with a bowl of soup, and a few words in a language that sounded like home. The young Russian woman's name was Katya, 24 years old. Bruises on her wrists hidden under long sleeves. She'd been trafficked from Moscow 6 months ago, promised a job as a translator. Instead, she'd been locked in an apartment in Brighton Beach with 9 other girls, forced to work in massage parlors that weren't massage parlors. Beaten when she refused, starved when she fought back. She'd escaped 3 days ago, jumped from a second-story window, ran through the streets in borrowed shoes. A man, she didn't know his name, had found her hiding behind a dumpster. He'd looked at her with eyes that understood suffering, had given her the ring, had written an address on a napkin. Il Rifugio. Ask for Sofia. Sophia listened, didn't interrupt. Let Katya speak in broken English mixed with Russian. Let the words pour out like poison from a wound. When Katya finished, she was crying, silent tears running down her face. "You're safe now," Sophia said. She meant it. "Nobody will hurt you here." Katya looked at her with desperate hope. "You promise?" "I promise." Sophia stood, walked to the bar where Miguel was pouring wine. She pulled out her phone, dialed a number she'd memorized but never used, the emergency line. It rang twice. "Yes," Henry's voice answered. "Calm as always, I need a pickup," Sophia said. "Female, early 20s, Russian, trafficking victim, needs medical attention and protection." "Address?" "Il Rifugio. She's with me now." "How long?" 20 minutes. "Keep her comfortable. We'll handle it." Henry hung up. Sophia returned to the table. "Help is coming. People Vincent trusts. They'll take you somewhere safe, get you medical care, find you a real job, a real life." "Why?" Katya asked, voice small. "Why do you help me? You don't know me." Sophia thought of the night 6 months ago. The rain, the old man who wasn't old, the choice she'd made. Because someone helped me once, when I had nowhere to go. Now I help others. That's how it works. Katya nodded, didn't fully understand, but she was too tired to question miracles. 20 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up. Not flashy, not threatening, just a vehicle. Henry stepped out. With him, a woman, 50s, kind eyes, doctor's bag in hand. They came inside, moved quickly but gently. The doctor spoke Russian, put Katya at ease, checked her injuries, wrapped her wrists, gave her antibiotics for an infection that had been festering untreated. "We have a safe house in Connecticut," Henry said to Sophia. "She'll stay there until we can arrange documents. Visa, work permit, we have contacts at immigration. She'll be legal in 6 weeks." "Thank you," Sophia said. "No," Henry replied. "Thank you for seeing what others don't, for caring when it's easier not to." They left with Katya. The young woman looked back at Sophia from the car, mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." Then they were gone, swallowed by the Manhattan night. Sophia went back inside, back to work, cleared tables, served dessert, smiled at customers. But her mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about the ring, about who had given it to Katya, someone in the Russian mob who knew about Il Refugio, who knew about Sophia, who trusted her to help. Word was spreading. The shelter was becoming more than a restaurant. It was becoming something else, something dangerous and beautiful, a place where the rules of the underworld bent, where enemies could sit at the same table, where the hunted could find sanctuary. Sophia realized with a chill that she'd stepped fully into Vincent's world, not as a gangster, but as something maybe more powerful, a mediator, a bridge, someone both sides respected because she belonged to neither. The restaurant closed at 11. Sophia sent the staff home. Emma, Miguel, the servers, the dishwashers. She stayed behind, counted the register, locked the receipts in the safe, poured herself a glass of red wine, sat at table 9 in the empty dining room. The silence was beautiful, just the hum of the refrigerators, the tick of the old clock on the wall, the distant sound of sirens. New York never slept, but sometimes it whispered instead of shouted. Her phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. She almost deleted it, then stopped, read it. "Well done tonight. The girl is safe. Your nonna would be proud." V. Sophia smiled, typed back. "How did you know? I always know. Sleep well, Sophia. You earned it." She finished her wine, turned off the lights, locked the door, walked home through streets that no longer frightened her. 6 months ago, she'd been invisible. Now she walked like she owned the city, because in a way, she did. Not through violence, through something stronger. Respect. Her apartment was different now. Upper West Side, 2 bedrooms. Nonna Lucia lived with her. The old woman had recovered from surgery, stronger than ever. She spent her days cooking, reading, sitting in the small garden Sophia had access to, living the quiet life she'd earned after 8 decades of struggle. Sophia unlocked the door quietly, tried not to wake Nonna, but the old woman was sitting at the kitchen table, cup of tea steaming, waiting. "You're late," Nonna said in Sicilian, but not disapproving, just observing. "Busy night," Sophia replied, switching to the dialect that felt like home. Sat across from her grandmother. A girl came in, needing help. Nonna nodded. "Like the others, like the boy last week, the man before that. You've become what I was in Palermo, a refuge. Is that wrong?" Sophia asked. "Sometimes I feel like I'm in too deep, like I'm part of something I don't fully understand." Nonna reached across the table, took Sophia's hand. Her skin was paper thin, spotted with age, but her grip was strong. "You have a gift, Figlia. You see people, really see them. The world needs people like you, people who stand between the light and dark and say, 'Enough.'" "But I work with criminals," Sophia said. "Vincent, his family, they've killed people, and they've saved people," Nonna countered. "The world isn't black and white. It's gray, every shade of gray. Your job isn't to judge, it's to help the ones who can't help themselves." She squeezed Sophia's hand tighter. "Just promise me one thing. Don't lose yourself. Don't become what you're fighting. Stay kind, stay true, and when it's time to walk away, walk away." "I promise," Sophia said. Nonna released her hand, stood slowly, joints creaking. "Time for this old woman to sleep. You should too. Tomorrow is Sunday. We have the dinner for the seniors. I'm making my special sauce. Sophia smiled. I can't wait. She watched Nonna shuffle to her bedroom, heard the door close gently, then sat alone in the kitchen, the weight of 6 months settling on her shoulders. She'd saved Vincent's life, started a war, ended it, opened a restaurant, become a mediator in a world most people didn't know existed, and she was 28 years old. Sometimes late at night she wondered what her parents would think. Would they be proud, horrified? They'd been simple people, father a bus driver, mother a teacher. They'd wanted Sophia to go to college, become something respectable, doctor, lawyer, accountant. Instead, she was the woman mob bosses called when they needed someone neutral, when they needed someone they could trust not to pick sides, when they needed someone who could read a room and know who was lying. It wasn't the life they'd imagined for her, but it was hers. And strange as it was, she was good at it, maybe even happy. Sunday arrived bright and warm, the first truly beautiful day of spring, cherry blossoms blooming in Central Park, the city shedding winter like a heavy coat. Il Rifugio opened at noon for the senior lunch. Every Sunday, Sophia fed 30 to 40 elderly people, immigrants mostly, Italian, Polish, Dominican, Chinese, people who'd built this city with their hands and been forgotten. They came in slowly, using canes, walkers, holding each other's arms. They wore their Sunday best, dresses from the 1950s, suits that smelled of mothballs. They dressed up because Sophia made them feel valued, made them feel seen. Nonna Lucia held court at table 9, her table now. She wore a floral dress, lipstick, pearl earrings. She laughed with the other women, gossiped in 3 languages, told stories about the old country that may or may not have been true. Sophia moved through the room, serving pasta, pouring wine, listening, always listening. An old man named Giuseppe told her about the bakery he used to run in Little Italy, before the rents got too high, before he got too old, before his wife died and the joy went out of the bread. A woman named Rosa told her about the dress factory where she'd worked for 40 years, how her fingers were bent now, arthritis, how she could barely hold a needle. But she still sewed, still made clothes for her great-grandchildren. Because what else was there? These were Sophia's people now, the invisible ones, the ones society had used up and discarded. She gave them food, but more than that, she gave them dignity, a place where they mattered. At 3 p.m., after the last senior had left, full and happy, Sophia sat at the bar, exhausted, content. Miguel brought her espresso. Emma sat beside her, sipping sparkling water. You know what this place is? Emma said, looking around. It's magic, real magic. It's just food, Sophia said, modest. No, Emma insisted. It's more. It's like church, but better, because everyone is welcome, no judgment, just love. Sophia smiled. That's what Nonna says, l'ospite è Dio, the guest is God. The door opened. A man walked in. Not a regular, not a senior, he was 40-ish, expensive suit, but his eyes were wrong, too sharp, too calculating. He scanned the room like he was looking for exits, for threats. Sophia's instincts flared. Something off. She stood, walked to greet him. Afternoon, we're closed until dinner service at 5. But I can get you a coffee if you'd like. The man looked at her, really looked. I'm not here for food, I'm here for you. Sophia De Luca, correct? Sophia kept her expression neutral. Who's asking? The man pulled out a badge. FBI, Special Agent David Morrison. I need to ask you some questions about Vincent Romano. Sophia's heart rate spiked, but she didn't show it. Years of reading people taught her how to be read, how to control her micro-expressions. I don't know anyone by that name. Don't play games, Morrison said. His voice wasn't hostile, just tired. We know you work for him. We know about this restaurant, about the money, about the meetings we've been watching. Then you know I run a legitimate business, Sophia said. I serve food, I pay my taxes, I employ people. If you have questions, talk to my lawyer. We don't want you. Morrison said, softening. We want him, and we think you can help us. I can't help you, Sophia said, because I don't know what you're talking about. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. She turned to walk away. Morrison grabbed her arm, not hard, just enough to stop her. Just enough. Sophia looked down at his hand, then up at his face, her eyes ice. Let go. Morrison released her, held up his hands. Sorry. I'm sorry. Look. He took a breath. I know you think you're doing good here. Feeding seniors, helping trafficking victims. We know about that too. And it's admirable. Really. But Vincent Romano is a criminal. He's hurt people, killed people. And as long as you're associated with him, you're in danger. Then arrest him, Sophia said. If you have evidence. It's not that simple, Morrison said. He's careful, insulated. We need someone on the inside, someone he trusts. You're asking me to betray him. I'm asking you to do the right thing. Sophia stepped closer, looked Morrison in the eyes. Let me tell you something, Agent Morrison. 6 months ago, I was drowning. 3 jobs, couldn't pay my bills, couldn't save my grandmother. I was invisible. Nobody saw me. Nobody cared. Then one night, an old man walked into a restaurant during a storm, and I helped him, because that's what you do. You help people. And you know what? He helped me back. He saved my grandmother's life. He gave me this restaurant. He gave me purpose. He's never asked me to do anything illegal, never asked me to hurt anyone. All he asked was that I be myself. She paused. Let the words sink in. So no, Agent Morrison, I won't betray him because whatever he's done, whatever he is, he saw me when I was invisible, and that kind of loyalty isn't for sale, not to you, not to anyone. Morrison stared at her, then nodded slowly, pulled out a business card, placed it on the bar. If you change your mind or if you ever need help, call me day or night. He walked out, the door closing behind him with a soft chimney. Sophia stood there, breathing hard. Emma was watching from across the room, eyes wide. Was that really the FBI? Yes. What are you going to do? Sophia picked up the business card, looked at it, then tore it in half, dropped it in the trash. Nothing. I'm going to do nothing. Because I made a choice 6 months ago, and I'm not changing it now. But what if they arrest you? Emma asked. Worried. What if they think you're part of it? Then I'll deal with it, Sophia said. But I won't be a rat. That's not who I am. She went back to work, prepped for dinner service, chopped vegetables, checked inventory, let the rhythm of the kitchen calm her racing thoughts. But part of her knew. This was just the beginning. The FBI wouldn't stop. They'd watch, wait, look for any crack, any weakness. She needed to tell Vincent. He needed to know they were being watched, that the walls were closing in. That night, after the dinner service ended, Sophia drove to Vincent's estate, not the penthouse, his real home, in Westchester, a compound hidden behind stone walls and iron gates. She'd only been there twice before, once for a family dinner, once for a meeting with the 5 families where she'd read the room and caught a planned betrayal. The guards at the gate recognized her, waved her through. She drove up the long driveway parked in front of the main house, a mansion that looked like it belonged in Tuscany, all stone and terracotta and climbing vines. Henry met her at the door, Miss DeLuca. Unexpected. Is everything all right? I need to see Vincent, it's important. Henry studied her face, saw the tension. Follow me. He led her through the house, rooms filled with art and antiques and the smell of old money. They went to Vincent's study, a room lined with books, a fire crackling in the fireplace even though it was spring, because Vincent was always cold now, old age settling into his bones. Vincent sat in a leather chair, reading glasses perched on his nose, a book in his hands. He looked up when Sophia entered, smiled. Sophia, what a pleasant surprise. Please sit. Would you like a drink? No, thank you, Sophia said, sat in the chair across from him. Vincent, the FBI came to see me today, at the restaurant. Vincent's smile faded. He closed the book slowly, placed it on the side table. What did they want? They want me to inform on you. They offered protection, said they've been watching. They know about the restaurant, about the meetings, about everything. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to the window, looked out at the manicured gardens, his back to her. And what did you tell them? I told them no. I told them I wouldn't betray you. That you've done nothing but help me, that I owe you my loyalty. Vincent turned, his eyes glistening. You didn't have to do that. You could have taken their offer, started fresh. Away from all of this. I know, Sophia said, but that's not who I am. You taught me that. Honor matters. Loyalty matters. I'm not going to throw that away because some FBI agent thinks he knows what's right for me. Vincent walked to her, placed his hands on her shoulders. You are extraordinary, Sophia DeLuca, more extraordinary than you know. He moved back to his chair, sat heavily. But we have a problem. If they're watching you, they're watching all of us. They're building a case, waiting for one mistake, one slip. So what do we do? Sophia asked. We accelerate the plan, Vincent said. I've been moving money out of the gray areas for months, liquidating assets, paying off debts. I'm 76 years old, Sophia. I don't have much time left, and I'm tired. Tired of looking over my shoulder. Tired of violence. Tired of death. He leaned forward. I want to retire, really retire, leave the business to people who can run it clean or as clean as possible, but I can't leave until I know everyone is taken care of, my people, the families, the old guard who've been loyal. How long? Sophia asked. Until you're out? 6 months, maybe a year. I'm meeting with the commission next month, proposing a new structure. Less territorial, more cooperative. We move into legitimate business, security, consulting, real estate. We use our connections for good instead of greed, and they'll agree to that? Some will, Vincent said. The smart ones, the ones who see that times are changing. The others? He shrugged. They'll either adapt or die. That's how it's always been. What about me? Sophia asked. Where do I fit? You, Vincent said, are the future. When I'm gone, Il Refugio becomes the neutral ground, the place where deals are made, disputes are settled. You become the mediator, the one person everyone trusts because you're not part of any family, you're above it. That's a lot of responsibility, Sophia said. I'm just a waitress who got lucky. No, Vincent corrected. You're a woman who saw an old man freezing in the rain and chose kindness over cruelty. You're a woman who risked her life to save a stranger. You're a woman who turned down the FBI because honor mattered more than safety. That's not luck. That's character. He stood, walked to his desk, opened a drawer, pulled out an envelope, handed it to Sophia. What's this? Open it. Sophia opened the envelope. Inside were documents, legal papers. She scanned them. Her name appeared over and over. Sophia DeLuca, owner, beneficiary, trustee. What is this? She asked again, voice shaking. That's the deed to 5 buildings in Manhattan, all paid off, worth approximately $20 million. They're yours, along with the trust fund, $10 million, also yours. You can access it immediately or leave it to grow, your choice. Sophia looked up, tears streaming down her face. Vincent, I can't accept this. You can and you will, Vincent said firmly, because this isn't charity, this is payment for what you've done, for what you'll continue to do, and more than that. He paused, his voice soft. It's from a father to a daughter. Sophia's breath caught. What? I never had children, Vincent said, never had time. The life I chose didn't allow for family, not real family, but you. He smiled. You're the daughter I should have had, the one I wish I'd raised. You're everything good I could never be, and I want to make sure that when I'm gone, you're protected. You're secure, you can live the life you deserve. Sophia stood, walked to him, threw her arms around him, hugged him tight. Vincent stiffened, surprised, then slowly, carefully, he hugged her back, the old man who'd built an empire on fear and violence, holding a young woman who'd saved him with kindness. 2 souls who'd found each other in a storm. Thank you, Sophia whispered, for everything, for seeing me, for believing in me, for giving me a chance. No, Vincent said, voice thick. Thank you, for reminding me I'm still human, for showing me there's still good in this world, for giving me hope that maybe, just maybe, I haven't done it all for nothing. They stood there for a long moment. Then Sophia pulled back, wiped her eyes. Vincent did the same. Now, Vincent said, clearing his throat. Back to business. The FBI will keep watching. So we need to be careful. No more meetings at Il Refugio for a while. We use other locations, change patterns, make it harder for them. Understood, Sophia said. And Sophia, Vincent added, if they come at you again, if they threaten you, If they try to hurt you or Nonna, you call me immediately. I don't care what time, day or night. You are under my protection, always." "I know," Sophia said. "And you're under mine. That's what family does. We protect each other." Vincent smiled, a real smile, full of warmth. "Yes, that's exactly what family does." 3 months passed. Summer arrived hot and humid. The city sweltered. But Il Refugio stayed cool. Sophia had installed air conditioning, made the dining room comfortable even on the worst days. The FBI watched. Agent Morrison came by twice more. Each time Sophia refused to talk. Each time he left his card. Each time she threw it away. Vincent moved forward with his plan, sold off the last of the drug connections, closed the illegal gambling operations, paid settlements to the families of people who'd been hurt. Not admissions of guilt, just money, enough to ease consciences, to let people move on. The commission meeting happened in July. A warehouse in Brooklyn, all 5 families represented, plus the Russians, the Irish, the Chinese, every major player in New York's underworld. Sophia attended, not as Vincent's representative, but as the mediator, the neutral party. She sat at the head of the table, 20 men around her, men who'd killed, who'd ordered deaths, who'd built empires on blood, and they listened to her because she spoke truth, because she had no agenda except peace, because she saw them, really saw them, saw the fathers and sons beneath the monsters, saw the humanity they'd buried under decades of violence. The vote was unanimous. The families would transition slowly, carefully, but they'd move toward legitimacy, toward cooperation, toward a future where their grandchildren didn't have to live in fear. Vincent stood at the end of the meeting, announced his retirement, effective immediately. He was leaving the Romano family to his nephew Marco, a good kid, strong, smart, but more importantly, kind. He'd lead them into the new era. There were handshakes, embraces, even a few tears. These men had fought together, bled together, and now they were choosing peace together. After everyone left, Sophia and Vincent stood alone in the empty warehouse. Afternoon light streaming through dirty windows, dust motes floating like snow. "You did it," Sophia said. "You actually did it." "We did it," Vincent corrected. "I couldn't have done this without you, without your courage, your vision, your belief that even old men can change." "So what now?" Sophia asked. "What do you do with all that freedom?" Vincent smiled. "I'm going to Italy, Corleone, where my mother was born. I'm going to see the house where she grew up, walk the streets she walked, maybe find some distant cousins. I'm going to spend whatever time I have left remembering who I was before I became this." He gestured to himself. The suit, the power, the weight. When I was just a boy who loved his mother, who believed in goodness before the world taught me otherwise. "How long will you be gone?" Sophia asked, feeling a strange sadness, like a daughter watching her father leave. "I don't know," Vincent said honestly. "Maybe months, maybe forever. I'm old, Sophia. Tired. If I die in Sicily in the land of my blood, that wouldn't be so bad." "Don't talk like that," Sophia said. "You have years left. You'll come back. You'll visit Il Refugio. Sit at table 9, order your soup." "Perhaps," Vincent said. "But if I don't?" He reached into his pocket, pulled out the original ring, the one he'd given her that first night, the one she'd returned after 6 months. He placed it in her hand. "Keep this, not as insurance, as a reminder. You saved a ghost, and he gave you wings. Now fly." Sophia clutched the ring, tears flowing freely now. "I'll miss you, and I'll miss you, figlia mia," Vincent said in Sicilian. "My daughter. But this isn't goodbye. It's arrivederci, until we meet again." He kissed her forehead, then walked to the door, paused at the threshold, looked back one last time. "Remember what I taught you. Honor above all. Loyalty to those who deserve it, and kindness, always kindness, even to those who don't deserve it, because that's what makes you better than men like me." "You're a good man, Vincent Romano," Sophia said. "Don't let anyone tell you different." "I'm trying to be," Vincent said. "Thanks to you." He walked out, into the sunlight, into the rest of his life. Sophia stood alone in the warehouse, holding the ring, feeling the weight of everything that had changed, everything she'd become. She was 29 now, owner of a restaurant, mediator for the 5 families, protector of the vulnerable, daughter to a mob boss who'd found redemption through her eyes. It wasn't the life she'd planned, but it was hers, and she'd built it herself. One bowl of soup at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one choice to see people, really see them when the world had taught her to look away. She walked out of the warehouse into the summer heat, back to Il Rifugio, back to Nonna, back to the seniors who needed Sunday dinner, back to the refugees who needed shelter, back to the life that mattered. That evening, as the sun set over Manhattan, Sophia stood at the door of her restaurant, the lights warm inside, the sound of laughter and conversation, the smell of garlic and tomatoes and bread fresh from the oven. A homeless man approached, old, dirty, trembling. "Excuse me, miss," he said, voice raspy. "Any chance I could get something to eat? I can work for it, wash dishes, sweep floors, whatever you need." Sophia looked at him, really looked, saw the desperation, the shame, the hunger that went deeper than an empty stomach. She smiled, the smile that had changed everything. "Come in, table 9 is open, and you don't have to work, you just have to be here. The guest is God, remember?" The man's eyes filled with tears. "God bless you, miss." "No," Sophia said gently, guiding him inside. "God blessed me. 6 months ago, someone showed me kindness when I needed it most. Now I pass it on. That's how it works. That's how we change the world, one person at a time." She sat him at table 9, brought him soup, bread, wine, watched him eat like he couldn't believe it was real, like he was afraid it would disappear. Emma came over. "Another one?" "Another one," Sophia confirmed. "And there will be more. There's always more. That's why we're here." She looked around her restaurant, her sanctuary, her life's work, and she thought of Vincent, somewhere over the Atlantic now, flying toward his past, toward peace, toward redemption. She thought of Nonna, at home, safe, healthy, living the quiet life she'd earned. She thought of all the people she'd helped, Katya, the seniors, the refugees, the forgotten ones, and she thought of herself. Sophia DeLuca, once invisible, now seen, once powerless, now powerful, not through violence or money, but through something stronger, through the radical act of giving a damn, of seeing people, of choosing kindness even when the world chose cruelty. The rain started again, soft this time, not a storm, just a gentle summer rain, washing the city clean, making everything new. Sophia walked to the window, looked out at the street, at the people hurrying past, at the 10 million stories, at the infinite possibilities, and she smiled, because she knew the truth now, the truth Vincent had taught her, the truth Nonna had always known. You're never just one thing, never just a victim or a hero, just a waitress or a queen, just invisible or seen. You're all of it. And you get to choose every single day which parts to let shine. Sophia chose kindness, chose loyalty, chose honor, and in choosing she became something neither the world nor she had expected. She became the woman who proved that even in the darkest corners of the city, even in a world of ghosts and violence and broken people, there was still room for light. There was still room for soup, for a warm smile, for a few words in Sicilian that sounded like home. There was still room for hope, and that, Sophia knew, was the most powerful thing of all. The end.